The ocean is the last great frontier on Earth. It is a world governed by laws older than the mountains, and at the top of its hierarchy sits a ghost. A silhouette that has haunted the human psyche for generations. For 50 years, we have lived under the shadow of a cinematic monster. We've been told they are vengeful, mindless, and possessed by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. But as we stand on the precipice of a new era of marine biology, the man-eater myth is being dismantled piece by piece. Tonight, we travel from the rugged coasts of South Africa to the crystal-clear waters of Guadalupe Island. We will use the latest satellite tagging, thermal imaging, and DNA sequencing to separate the legend from the animal. What we find isn't a monster. It's a masterpiece. To understand the truth, we must start with the machine. Carcharodon carcharias. Evolution doesn't settle, it refines. And it has been refining the great white for over 11 million years. First, forget what you know about bone. A great white has none. Its entire skeleton is made of cartilage, the same flexible material in your ears and nose. This makes them lighter, more buoyant, and capable of tight, spring-like turns that would snap a bony fish in half. Touch its skin, and you won't feel scales. You'll feel teeth. These are dermal denticles. Under a microscope, they look like tiny V-shaped ridges. This isn't just armor, it's fluid dynamics. These ridges reduce turbulence, allowing the shark to move through the water with almost zero acoustic signature. It is the ultimate stealth fighter. But here is where the science defies the cold-blooded myth. Most fish are at the mercy of the water temperature, not the great white. They possess a complex web of veins called the ret mirabile. This wonderful net allows them to retain heat generated by their muscles. They can keep their stomachs and brains up to 15 degrees Celsius warmer than the surrounding sea. This regional endothermy, as documented by National Geographic explorers, gives them a massive metabolic advantage in the deep, cold trenches. A great white's world is a symphony of data. They see, smell, and hear, but they also feel the invisible. These pores on the snout are the ampullae of Lorenzini. They are electroreceptors. Every time a living creature moves its muscles or its heart beats, it emits a tiny electrical field. The great white can detect a field as faint as a billionth of a volt. To a shark, a panicked fish isn't just a sight. It's a broadcast. And look at the eyes. Another myth? That sharks have poor vision. In reality, their retinas are packed with rods and cones, providing exceptional low-light vision and even color perception. When they strike, they roll their eyes backward, not out of evil, but for protection. Without eyelids, this ocular rotation protects their most valuable sensory tool from the thrashing claws of their prey. We often think of shark attacks as chaotic frenzies. The truth? It is a game of high-stakes geometry. In the waters of False Bay, the sharks have mastered the vertical ambush. They wait in the kill zone, the deep water bordering the seal colonies. They don't just swim, they calculate. They track the seal's trajectory, wait for the perfect moment of vulnerability, and then acceleration. The force of the impact is equivalent to a car crash. But look closely at the aftermath. If the seal escapes the initial hit, the shark rarely pursues a long chase. Why? Energy conservation. A great white is a marathon runner that specializes in sprinting. If the cost of the calorie hunt exceeds the reward of the meal, they back off. They are the ocean's most disciplined accountants. This is the image that terrifies us. But let's look at the data. The International Shark Attack file records fewer than 10 fatal great white encounters globally in an average year. Compare that to the hundreds of millions of people who enter the water. The myth says we are prey. The science says we are a mistake. A great white's diet is high fat. It needs the blubber of a seal or a whale to fuel its massive metabolism. Humans are bony. We lack the caloric density they crave. Most attacks are actually test bites. Lacking hands, a shark uses its mouth to explore. In over 80% of human encounters, the shark bites once, realizes the object is not a seal, and swims away. If they wanted to eat us, they would. The truth is, they've spent millions of years not eating humans. We aren't part of their evolutionary vocabulary. Another myth, the lone wolf. For years, we believed great whites were solitary hermits, but new research into social clubs is turning that on its head. At Guadalupe Island, researchers have observed sharks hanging out in pairs or small groups for hours at a time. They have a hierarchy. The larger females, the true queens of the sea, command respect through subtle body language. A dip of a pectoral fin, a slight arch of the back. These are the words in a complex social dialogue that prevents unnecessary conflict. They aren't just hunters, they are communicators. Where do they go? For decades, it was a mystery. Then came the tags. Scientists discovered a region in the middle of the Pacific now known as the White Shark Café. Sharks from the California coast travel thousands of miles to this seemingly empty patch of ocean. Why? They spend their days diving into the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone of the ocean. Some believe they are mating, others believe they are feasting on giant squid. This proves that the great white is not a coastal creature that strays into the deep. It is a deep sea voyager, a biological bridge between the continents. Meet Deep Blue. At an estimated 20 feet long and 50 years old, she is one of the largest great whites ever recorded. When her footage went viral, it shattered the myth of the mindless killer. Here is a predator capable of devouring anything in her path, yet she shows no aggression toward the divers. She is calm. She is curious. She represents the truth of the species, that when they are not in hunting mode, they are surprisingly docile. They are the elders of the ocean, deserving of our wonder, not just our fear. Now we face the most terrifying truth of all. The great white is disappearing. The IUCN Red List classifies them as vulnerable. While we worry about the 5 or 10 humans killed by sharks, we are slaughtering 100 million sharks annually. Through illegal finning, bycatch in commercial tuna nets, and the degradation of our reefs, we are erasing 11 million years of evolution in a single century. If the great white goes, the ocean follows. As apex predators, they perform top-down regulation. They weed out the sick and the weak in seal and fish populations. Without them, prey species explode in number, overconsume the smaller fish, and the entire ecosystem collapses into a dead zone. We don't just need great whites for the sake of nature. We need them for our own survival. But the tide is turning. From California to Australia, new shark-safe technologies are replacing the old lethal drumlines and nets. We are using drones to monitor beaches, providing real-time safety for swimmers without harming a single fin. The myth of the great white was born from our ignorance. The truth is being written by our curiosity. We are learning to share the water. We are learning that the shadow in the blue is not something to be hunted, but something to be protected. The great white has survived 5 mass extinctions. It saw the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. It has outlived almost everything that has ever walked, crawled, or swum on this planet. It is not a monster. It is a miracle of engineering. It is a social, intelligent, and vital part of our planet's life support system. As we look out over the vast rolling blue, let us remember, we aren't afraid of what's in the water. We are in awe of it. The great white remains. The myth is dead. The truth is just beginning.